young engineering student had just learned कि उसके प्रोफेसर के फादर की डेथ हो गई एक रोड एक्सीडेंट. His first reaction was, yes. He sprinted towards his hostel,
I have
screaming
made it!
delightfully, I have made it, man. I have made it. Why? Could someone's tragedy delighted him? Can someone behave like this ever? Year 1978. वो दिन थे जब इंजीनियरिंग 5 साल का कोर्स हुआ करता था, और अगर आप मैकेनिकल इंजीनियरिंग पढ़ रहे हो तो यू हैड मेड इट इनटू द मोस्ट सॉट आफ्टर ब्रांच उस जमाने की. Abhinav was in his 4th year studying at one of the very reputed engineering colleges, NIT, मैकेनिकल इंजीनियरिंग. ब्राइट था, हार्डवर्किंग था और लो मिडिल क्लास फैमिली से बिलोंग करता. जैसे thousands of young Indians, वो he wasn't studying only for himself, क्योंकि back home an entire family was waiting for the day जब वो ग्रेजुएट होगा, उसको जॉब मिलेगा और पूरे परिवार की फाइनेंशियल हार्डशिप दूर. So for Abhinav, losing even one academic semester was not just about delayed success. It meant एक और साल या 6 महीने बर्डन के for the entire family, और जो वो फैमिली एफोर्ड नहीं कर सकती. One of his professors was assistant professor Sinha, who taught theory of machines. वो young थे, exceptionally brilliant. He held a PhD degree from a reputed university abroad. Students उनको एडमायर करते थे, लेकिन साथ साथ उनसे डरते भी थे, because he expected obedience, demanded respect, and never tolerated anyone challenging his authority. तो लोग भी उनसे सवाल करते हुए क्लास में डरते थे. Ironically, अभिनव जो था वो उनका फेवरेट स्टूडेंट्स में भी आता था, लेकिन सडनली सब कुछ चेंज हो गया, और रादर चेंज हुआ एक पर्सन के कारण, नवीन. नवीन जो था वो अभिनव का बेस्ट फ्रेंड था, और पिछले सेमेस्टर में नवीन ड्यूरिंग द क्लास हैड ए हीटेड आर्ग्यूमेंट विद प्रोफेसर सिन्हा. अब बात वहीं खत्म हो जाती, लेकिन नहीं हुई. जब रिजल्ट आए तो नवीन फेल्ड इन थ्योरी ऑफ मशीन्स, तो वो सप्लीमेंट्री में बैठा एंड ही फेल्ड अगेन. अब प्रूव कौन करे? बट एवरीबडी अंडरस्टूड व्हाट हैड हैपेंड. So one day, Professor Sinha looked around in the classroom and said, almost boastfully, proudly, "Never make the mistake of crossing me. The consequences can be disastrous." No one asked what he meant, क्योंकि किसी को जरूरत नहीं थी, सब समझते थे. The message was loud and clear. अब स्टूडेंट्स जो थे ज्यादातर, they became more careful कि अब और भी कोई सवाल नहीं करेगा. बट अभिनव डिड एग्जैक्टली द ऑपोजिट. उसने देखा था कि उसका बेस्ट फ्रेंड इज लॉस्ट 1 year, a semester, because of one argument that was filled with anger. From that day onwards, Abhinav stopped treating Professor Sinha like everyone else did in awe. He would almost every class ask a question and argue with the professor. Every disagreement became an argument, and Abhinav made it a point. Every question became a challenge. Slowly, दोनों के बीच की रिलेशनशिप जो थी वो डिटेरियोरेट होने लगी. And both of them knew that it was just a matter of time before something will happen. Just practical exams से कुछ दिन पहले Professor Sinha took away Abhinav's laboratory's notebook, practical notebook. अब अभिनव रोज उनके पास जाए रिक्वेस्ट करने के लिए कि मेरी नोटबुक वापस करो, लेकिन प्रोफेसर सिन्हा would make some excuse. Finally, one day Professor Sinha said कि he has submitted his notebook to the head of the department क्योंकि उसका जो वर्क था वो इनकम्प्लीट था और उसमें रीडिंग्स भी जो थी वो मैनिपुलेटेड था. And he said go and collect it from HOD. Now Abhinav hesitated. Approaching HOD means कि मैटर और ऊपर उठे, and admitting guilt before he had even committed, he had been even hurt. So he waited कि HOD बुलाएंगे, लेकिन days passed, nothing happened. Now his examination was due to begin. So one afternoon, unable to bear it any longer, he straight barged into the staff. And there he found that his notebook was lying on the table जहाँ पे प्रोफेसर सिन्हा बैठे थे. He picked it up. Professor Sinha immediately caught his wrist and said, "Put it back." Abhinav replied, "No." Professor Sinha tightened his grip and Abhinav pulled it free and said, "You lied, sir." His voice was trembling with anger. "You never gave it to the HOD and every day you are making silly excuses. This is nothing but your ego." He pushed the professor aside, picked up the notebook and walked out. And then he realized what he has done. This was serious. So he straight went to the HOD's office to explain the incident. Moments later, Professor Sinha also arrived with his own version of the story. The HOD listened to both quietly and simply said, "I will look into it." Nothing happened until the results came. Abhinav had performed consistently well throughout the semester and needed barely 15 marks out of 71 to pass in theory of machines. But he failed. The message was unmistakable. He had not merely been failed, he was taught a lesson by Professor Sinha. और जो summer holidays थी became meaningless. What haunted him was not the failed paper, but it was his close friend Naveen. If Professor Sinha could fail Naveen twice, same Abhinav के साथ भी कर सकता. He will fail him in the supplementary exam also. And one more failed attempt would mean another 6 months long, another year of expenses, जो कि उसकी family afford नहीं कर सकती. With little hope but no choice, Abhinav appeared for the supplementary exams. He wrote the paper mechanically. उसको लेकिन hope नहीं थी कि वो pass हो. And as he stepped out of the examination hall, someone called his name from there. It was Amit, a young lecturer from. "So Abhinav, how was the exam?" he asked. "It was all right, sir," Abhinav replied without enthusiasm. Both of them knew that the real examiner was Professor Sinha. Amit paused and said, "There is a sad news, you know." Abhinav looked up confused. "What, sir?" Professor Sinha met with a serious road accident this morning while traveling with his father, and he is right now in the hospital. And before walking past Abhinav, he hesitated, turned back and said, "You know, his father didn't survive." For a few seconds, Abhinav stood motionless. He could murmur only, "Oh, accident." But his mind was thinking something else. The real implications of the accident itself. Professor Sinha would never evaluate his answer sheet. Someone else would. Someone impartial who would give him those 15 marks he genuinely deserved. The wall that had stood between him and the graduation and his degree had suddenly disappeared. Abhinav remained standing for a while, stunned, and in one moment, months of fear disappeared. The nightmare was all over. उसका फ्यूचर वापस आ गया. The accident of his professor saved Abhinav's future. He sprinted towards the hostel, screaming, "I have made it, man! I have made it!"
I have made
His
it!
friends came out running. They knew what Abhinav was going
I have
through for
made
months.
it, man!
What happened? Shouted one. "I have made it, man! I have made it to the final semester." Within moments, they lifted him onto their shoulders. Nobody knew what actually happened. They only knew that their friend, who had lived under fear for months, was suddenly happier than they had ever seen him, and they celebrated with him. A few months later, Professor Sinha returned to the college. Still recovering, still needing a walker, he limped. They crossed each other in the corridor. Professor Sinha smiled wryly, looking at him. "Good morning, sir," Abhinav greeted him. "So, you managed to reach the final semester?" Professor Sinha said sarcastically. "Yes, sir," Abhinav said firmly. Professor raised his eyebrows. "Get well soon, sir," Abhinav said politely. Both walked away. Surely both must not have ever forgotten this incident. Life simply moved on, leaving a few questions for all of us. Would you have reacted any differently? We love our stories to have villains and heroes, black and white में, clearly drawn. लेकिन रियल लाइफ में रेयरली ऐसी अपॉर्चुनिटी मिलती है कि हम उसको ब्लैक एंड व्हाइट में देख पाए. It gives us gray. Grief and relief arrived for Abhinav in the same sentence that day. Grief for a man who had made his life hell, and relief for himself. He had only one room for sin. Which would you have chosen? Kindly give your comments. Thank you. Jai Hind.